Hey guys, we have a practice quiz, which means there's a little quiz that looks almost exactly like this next class. So let's dig in. It says, consider the arithmetic sequence 15, 14 and a quarter, 13 and 2/4, 12 and 3/4, and 12. Identify the rate of change. Okay, so as we said, we always want to take, if we think of a number going down 5, 3, 1, we say, okay, what's happening here, right? So if we take 5 minus 3, we say, oh, they're subtracting 2. 3 minus 1, oh, okay, I get it. They're subtracting 2. Then we can check our work by saying, okay, in a calculator is 5 minus 2, 3, and then another 2, 1. That's the pattern. We can also check the pattern going the other direction. So is 1 plus 2, 3, yep. And then another 2, 5, yep. So we can practice or look for the pattern working backwards or forwards, or work it forwards to figure it out and then backwards to check it, or vice versa. Okay, so it says here, if I subtracted those two, and again, if I turn this into a decimal, that might help, but that's 15, and this is 14 and 1/4 is 0.25. So to find out how to convert to a decimal, if I do 1 divided by 4 in a calculator, I get 0.25. So this is the quantity 14.25. So when I subtract 14.25, just like $15 and $14.25, it looks like I'm subtracting 75 cents. So I'm thinking I'm subtracting 75 cents. I'm subtracting 75 cents. So let's try that out. In a calculator, where's my calculator? 15 take away 75 cents, I get 12.25. Take away 75 cents, I get 13 and a half, which is 2/4. Take away 75 cents, I get 12.75 or 12 and 3/4. So that is what's happening each time. It looks like I'm subtracting. So we are subtracting 0.75 or the fraction 3/4 each time. If the sequence were plotted on a coordinate plane, would the points lie on a line? And we said yes. We made a conjecture. So our conjecture said if we have a pattern that adds or subtracts each time, that would be linear. Now we noticed with some easy numbers as we plotted it here. I'll use my easier example. What if our pattern was 5, 3, 1? If my first number was 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my second number is 3, 1, 2, 3, and then my third number was 1. Notice that a simple pattern, 5, 3, 1, is linear. So in the same way, we would assume even if it's not exactly whole numbers we're subtracting each time, the fact that we're subtracting 0.75 or 3/4 is another way. And so we see that in this picture, we would start, our first number is up here, 5, 10, 15. And then we are going, so we'd plot that number. Our first number is 15. And now, instead of going down 2 each time, which is what we saw here in our example, so notice how this is dropping 2, running 1, dropping 2, running 1. Here you're just dropping 3/4, not a full 1. And then running 1. Dropping 3/4 again, and running 1 number to the next pattern. Dropping 3/4 again, and running 1. So that's why we say when we have an arithmetic sequence, we see that on our IXL assignment. That means a pattern that's just adding and subtracting. So either it's going up or it's going down, but it's doing it by adding or subtracting, then we know it's linear. So it says, what would be the slope of this line? Okay, I think we pretty much said. So each time it's going to go down 3/4 over 1 to get to the next number in the sequence. So our slope would be fall 3/4, run 1. So the slope would be 3/4, -3/4, because the number's going down. Okay, next question. It says, find the slope of a line containing these 2 points. Okay, so we worked on this in class, and we came up with this formula where if I take the 2 y values and subtract them, and then I take the 2 x values and subtract them, I can find the slope. So the formula looks like this: y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. I can also stack the coordinates in the same way. So it says I've got to subtract these 2 coordinates. So I'm just going to redraw those coordinates. So if I subtract the y coordinates, -2 minus, those are my x coordinates, and here's my y coordinates. If I subtract the y coordinates, -2 take away 4, I get -6. Here, -2 take away 1 would be -3. So the change in the y is -6, and the change in the x is -3. So we end up with a +2, because in a calculator, -6 divided by -3, we're going to add -6 divided by -3 is 2. Beautiful. Now, what would be another way? Like I say, if you're not as good, could you plot it? And the answer is yes. You could plot it and just count the boxes. So here, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, -2, -2. What is the slope? Well, it looks like we go up 2 and up another 4. So that's up a total of 6. And we go over 2 and another, that's 3. So notice this is a positive slope because the +6/3 is 2. So why did both end up being negative? We kind of had a quick discussion in class about this. It's because we managed to pick the dot behind it. So we actually had to go back 3 and down 6 to grab that dot. Okay. Now let's find the slope, and we worked on this quite a bit more in the last 2 days of class. Here we see that the slope is up 2 over 3. We notice this pattern continues to repeat itself, right? Notice up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. So our slope is 2 over 3. Here, let's see, we notice the hash marks meet. And so here we notice we fall 2, we run 1. We fall 2, we run 1. So when our slope triangle was 2, 3, our slope was 2, 3. Now our slope triangle is -2, 1. So our slope is -2 over 1. However, when I put that in a calculator, -2 divided by 1, I just get -2. So there's actually a simpler way to write that. I'm going to put the slope of this second one is -2. Show your work and explain how you used it in complete sentences. Okay. I'm just going to show my work here, right? And say, you could have used something else, but I used slope triangles to find the slope. Rise over run. How much did it rise? How much did it run? Okay, so much like these 3 questions, you'll get very similar questions, just the numbers and the pictures are slightly changed. So hopefully you're prepared for these types of questions. All right, now the next 2 questions, 4 and 5, let's take a look. It says, Samantha goes on a scooter ride on a trail by her house. After 15 minutes of riding, she sees a mile marker. So she goes 15 minutes, and apparently she's traveled 1 mile, right? When she reaches the 5th mile marker, so notice it's like, well, which comes first, the minute or the miles? And that's always the hard part. So you kind of just have to start somewhere. When she reaches the 5th mile mark, so 2, 3, 4, 5 miles, she realizes she's been writing for 60 minutes. What is the rate as which, and so it says in miles per minute. So it looks like each minute, how many did she jump? So this is just like what we've been working on. What if the number was 15? 1, 2, 3. 3, and then 60. What happened there? So just like similar to the last quiz, we noticed that we went from 15 to 60. So let's see how much. So if I divide 60 divided by 15, 60 divided by 15, I get 4. I can also subtract, right? So 60 minus 15, I get 45. So it looks like it jumped 45 in 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. So that's how I'm going to use that number. How can I jump 15 in 4 moves? So I'm going to divide 45 by 4. All right, so I get 11.25. So how does this make sense? Well, again, it's the change in y over the change in x. That's our rate of change. So it seems as if they're asking different questions, but they're really asking the same type of question over and over and over again in a different way. So I'm not sure which one is miles, should be x or y, but I noticed that I need my answer to be in miles per 1 minute. That's what miles per minute mean. So it looks like I should have made miles in the y. So I'm going to switch that. I'm just going to start that. All right, so that actually makes more sense. So the first number in the sequence is 15. And then not sure about each of these. And then the last number is, so miles, minutes would be my while, and my y, and miles would be my x. All right, so hopefully you see how I came about that, why I decided which one is x, which one is y. And you may have done that naturally because you're just used to the x being numbers going up by 1. Okay. So we think about how much is it changing? Well, 60 minus 15, that's exactly what we did here in our sequence. And how much did it change in the y? Well, it went from 5 miles to 1 mile. So we get 45 divided by 4, and in the same way, I got the same answer. 11.25 miles per minute. Nice. Okay, so that's exactly the type of question we had in the last quiz, but I'm looking at it, maybe I jumped a few more jumps, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of more of a word problem and more uses of it, not just a number. Last question, it says you deposited $103.50 into your bank account. You neither deposited nor withdraw any money from the account, but the bank charges you a monthly maintenance fee. After having the account for 1 month, you check your statement each month for 3 months and see the following trend. So you're like, the amount you put into the account initially would be the balance at month 0. Okay, so here at month 0, and then in month 1. So again, on our last quiz, we're like, can we work backwards? And the answer should be yes. We just have to figure out how did we go forward. So when we look forward To figure out how much, I'm just subtracting, right? 98.25 minus 93. So it looks like $5.25. So here they're subtracting $5.25. So if we do that again, what is 93 take away 87.75? Let me check this out. 93 minus 87.75. $5.25. So there is definitely a pattern. It looks like they're subtracting $5.25 each time. It seems as if they're taking that money out of my account. Not too happy about it. So to go backwards, what if I add this back, we can find out the initial amount. So 98.25 plus 525. And there you go, 103.5. So that's the number we were expecting. That was again another way, and this came up on our last quiz, quiz 1. That's another way to know that this is in fact the pattern going on. So the bank is, what amount did you initially pay? What was the initial deposit? All right, so this was the original deposit, and that's just from reading the problem, but it's also from double checking this. $3 is the original amount I put in the account. Will the slope of the line be positive or negative? Negative. We noticed here in this example, here, right? When the numbers go down, the dots go down. When the numbers go down, the dots go down. So we saw this number go down and that example go down. So in the same way, negative, because as x increases, notice the x value is going up, or the months. As time goes by, x increases, or the months, those stand for the same thing. Then y decreases. My money, my balance, goes down. All right, what is the monthly fee being charged? Okay, so it looks like it's charging $5.25 each month. How do I know? I subtracted between months to figure out what they were taking out. After 6 months, what is our balance? Okay, so we can just keep subtracting each month if we want. Okay, so it was $8.75 at month 3, $87.75 minus $5.25, so that's month 4, minus $5.25, so that's month 5, minus $5.25, that's month 6, $72. So I noticed many kids on the quiz, they continued the pattern. So 4, 5, and 6, continuing to subtract the $5.25. So I'm just going to double check this. And again, I'm subtracting $5.25 each time. And I get 72. Last question, if you do not deposit any money into the account, after how many months will you run out of money, or when will your balance be negative? So again, depending on the student, You might just keep going. Just put in the hard work here and just keep going. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just keep going. You can also look at it from an equation standpoint. Remember, A sub n. So we start with this 103.50 and we subtract 525 each month, and n is the month. So when would this be 0? We could do some algebra, which is why we invented algebra, so we wouldn't have to do such a long sequence like this. So I add 525n on both sides, and then I divide by 525n on both sides. So 103.50 divide by 525, and I get it will be 0 at month 19.7. So not in month 19, but by the time you get to 7, so 20 months. So you could see how you could totally do this by hand, but it would be, so you should, by the 19th month, 525 times 19 is 99. If I subtract that from 103.5, yeah, you should be down to like $3.75. And then when you subtract 525, you're actually going to get a negative. Minus 525, you get negative $1. So your account goes into the negative on month 20. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.